graphing a linear function. Now, a linear function can be graphed using the table of values. So we've been talking about table of values at this point for a little bit here now, or in this lesson. And if we use a table of values that we made from, or we make from a linear function, okay, we can then graph that function out and see what does it look like. What does it look like on a graph? Okay, if a linear function is plotted properly, okay, all the points will be put in a straight line. Okay, now if we think of the word linear, linear means a line. Okay, a linear function is going to have a straight line. The graph is going to be a straight line when we graph it out. These points can be joined, as I mentioned, with a line, okay, to graph the linear function. So we're going to follow the points, they should be in a straight line, and then we'll draw a line through it to graph them. So let's start off by graphing the linear equation. Okay? So when we're graphing a linear equation, the first thing that we're going to do, okay, and this is kind of similar to what we saw before, is we're going to create a table of values. We're going to use 5 or more values of x. Now again, I like 5 because it kind of, we get to see a larger portion of it to create our table of values. So here I've put 5 values in. I start with -4, then -2, 0, 2, and 4. I spread them out a little bit. It's just going to make sure that we have a bit of a wider grasp of it. -2, -1, 0, 1, 2 works as well. Those are often ones that I will use when I'm doing it as well. Now, when we plug that point into our equation, we're going to have y is equal to -2 and x is -4 minus 5. Ooh, that spread out a little bit farther than I was expecting. There we go. Okay. So we do that. -2 times -4 is +8. We subtract 5. We're going to get a y value of 3. And we're going to get a point. The point then is -4, 3. Right, so -4, 3. The next one, if we put -2 into the same thing, I'm not going to write it out every single time in this case here because I can do it without. We do -2 times -2, which is +4, minus 5 is -1. Okay. If we put 0 in there, we're going to get -5. Oh, sorry, I should maybe do the point first here. -2, -1. If we put 0 into there, 0 times -2 is 0, minus 5 is -5. So this is going to give us the point 0, -5. And we keep going with that. 2, put 2 in there, it'll be -4 minus 5, so that's -9. You'll notice here that we're going up by 2s every time, but in this case here, we're going down by 4s. Okay, we're going down by 4s. And this point is then 2, -9. And that's going to continue on. This is going to be -13. So we have the point 4, -13. All right, so there's our points. Now, once we have those points from our table of values, we're going to plot the points from the table of values on the fully labeled one being labeled. There we go. On the fully labeled grid. So, there we go. Got it right. So we're going to plot our points on the fully labeled grid. Now, to do that, again, as I mentioned, we need to make sure that we show all of our points. Okay, here's my grid. I already labeled it. I made it a little bit bigger this time because my X and the Y axis, I've gone up again by 2s this time. So we see 4, 8, 12, -4, -8, -12. If you want to put all of the values in, you gladly can. That is, you're welcome to do that. I like to skip one because I find it to be a little bit neater. Okay, so that's why I do it. And again, we've talked about it in class a little bit as to how we label a grid. We will talk about it in class. First point is -4, 3. -4, +3 is going to be right there. And I'll label these points in a little bit. -2, -1. So -2 is at -1 right here. or sorry, 0, -5 right here. Why that did that. There we go. 2, -9 is down here. And 4, -13 is right here. Okay, and now I'm going to quickly label those. Okay, I'm gonna write them in. Do them with the same color here. Okay, so this was -4, 3. This one down here, -2, -1. And again, if they're close, that's really what we're looking for. This is 0, -5. This one here is 2, -9. And this one here is 4, -13. And I want you to write in each one, please, when you're graphing them out, because I want to be able to see where your points are. You should have like 5 points, and that should be plenty, and that should be enough. Okay, so we plot those in, we put those on there. The last thing that we're going to do, okay, and this is now to show our linear function, is we're going to draw a straight line through the points. Okay, to complete our linear function. So when we are graphing out a linear equation, we want to now draw a line through. And the reason we do that is because the graph is in fact actually like continuous throughout. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw my line through, and we should notice that all the points should be on there. Let's just adjust this line a little bit. I'm going to put arrows on each side. Extend a little bit so I can actually adjust. Okay, so we're going to run, come on, there we go. Okay, so we're going to stretch that line through, and you'll notice here this line is continuous throughout. So I put arrows because in fact this line is going to keep on going forever. Okay, this equation goes forever and ever. There should be arrows at the back there. I'm not sure why that hasn't shown up. There we go. So arrows go on the back, and that is our equation. Now the last thing we really should do at the end is we should write out our equation by the line to label it. Okay, so this is y is equal to -2x minus 5. We're going to write that in there. I'm just going to put it kind of right close to the line so I can see what it is. If you have multiple lines on one graph, do them in different colors or make sure that it's correctly labeled. And you'll notice some of the points don't exactly go on there, but I might have just drawn it a little bit off. Okay, so that is graphing a linear function. Plot all the points. Okay, make sure the points are plotted, all 5 of them that you have come up with. Okay, or sorry, I guess come up with the 5 first. Plot them on a fully labeled graph, okay, X, Y, all your numbers in there, your axes, and then draw a line through with the equation labeled right by it. Okay, so that's graphing out a fully labeled coordinate grid and a fully labeled graph or linear function on that coordinate grid. I'm grinning because it's so happy. All right, I want you to work on questions 4 and 5. 4 is just asking, is something a linear equation? Okay, and you can look by the graph, is it a straight line? Is it a linear equation? Explain how you know whether or not. And number 5 is actually coming up with a table of values and then graphing it out on a fully labeled coordinate grid. Okay, if you have graph paper, you can use that. If not, you can use line paper as well. That totally works. Okay, but you need to be able to graph them out and be able to draw out a nice graph. Use a ruler. It really helps to make things look better.